Now, we all know that vegetables are usually a fantastic part of a healthy diet, especially if you're managing diabetes. But it's really important to understand that not all veggies are the same, particularly when it comes to your blood sugar. You see, some popular vegetables, especially if you eat a lot of them at dinner, can cause those tricky blood sugar spikes we all want to avoid. So, in this discussion, we're going to take a closer look at 6 vegetables that folks with diabetes might want to ease up on in their evening meals. We'll also chat about some healthier swaps to help keep those blood sugar levels steady and support your overall health. Top 6 Popular vegetables diabetics should limit at dinner. Number 1, potatoes. All right, kicking off our list at number 1, we have potatoes. Now, potatoes are a real comfort food in so many homes, right? But for those of us managing diabetes, they can be a bit of a hurdle because of how much they can affect blood sugar. They're packed with carbohydrates that turn into glucose in your system pretty quickly, and that can lead to some sharp spikes. This is especially something to watch out for at dinner, because managing blood sugar overnight can be tougher when you're less active. If you're not careful, you might see higher readings in the morning. And it's not just about plain boiled potatoes. We need to be cautious with many popular ways potatoes are prepared. Take French fries, for example. They're not just high in carbs, but also loaded with unhealthy fats from all that deep frying, which really doubles down on the negative impact. Then there are mashed potatoes. Especially when they're made with lots of butter and cream, they turn into a heavy, high-carb side that can really throw your blood sugar off balance. Even a baked potato, which might seem like a healthier choice, can cause problems if you eat a large one, or don't balance it out with the rest of your meal. So, what's the main issue with potatoes? Well, it really comes down to their high starch content and what we call a high glycemic index, or GI. Foods that have a high GI get digested and absorbed super fast, and that means a quicker and bigger jump in your blood glucose. For anyone with diabetes whose body either doesn't make enough insulin or can't use it properly, this sudden rush of glucose can be really tough to handle. It definitely makes keeping your blood sugar steady a bigger challenge. Now, if you do decide to have potatoes, portion control is absolutely key. A really good rule of thumb is to make sure starchy foods like potatoes take up no more than a quarter of your dinner plate. Think of it as a visual guide to help you avoid eating too much and to lessen the impact on your blood sugar. Then, you can focus on filling up the rest of your plate with non-starchy veggies and some lean protein. That's how you create a meal that's much more balanced and friendly for diabetes management. The good news is, there are some healthier alternatives out there that can satisfy that craving for a starchy side dish without causing the same problems for your blood sugar. Sweet potatoes, for example, are still starchy, but they have a lower GI than white potatoes and give you more fiber and nutrients. Just remember, moderation is still important with sweet potatoes. And here's a great tip. Cauliflower mash is a fantastic low-carb swap for mashed potatoes. It gives you a similar texture and creamy taste, but with way fewer carbs and calories, making it a much kinder choice for your blood sugar. Number 2, white rice. Coming in at number 2 is white rice. You know, white rice is a go-to side for so many meals all over the world, but it can really affect blood sugar levels, especially if you're living with diabetes. Because it's a refined carbohydrate, it gets digested super quickly, and that means a fast spike in your blood glucose. This quick rise can be particularly tricky in the evening, as it might mess with your blood sugar stability overnight. So, understanding how white rice works in your body is really key for managing diabetes well. Now, even though we usually think of white rice as a grain, it acts a lot like a starchy vegetable when it comes to how your body processes it. And that's why it's on our list of things to limit. It's got a lot of starch that breaks down into sugar pretty easily, giving it a high glycemic index. If you're managing diabetes, eating high GI foods like white rice too often can make it tougher to keep your blood sugar where you want it. This can also increase the risk of long-term problems that come with blood glucose being too high for too long. You see, when brown rice is processed to become white rice, the bran and germ are removed. And those are the parts that are packed with fiber and nutrients. This milling process gets rid of dietary fiber, important vitamins, and minerals, and what's left is mostly starch. Fiber is so important because it slows down digestion and how quickly sugar gets absorbed. So, because white rice is missing that fiber, it hits your blood sugar much faster than whole grain rice does. But don't worry, if you're looking for better ways to manage your blood sugar, there are some really great alternatives to white rice. Brown rice, which still has its bran and germ, gives you more fiber and nutrients and has a lower glycemic index. Quinoa is another wonderful choice. It's a complete protein, it's full of fiber, and it gives you a nice, steady release of energy. And then there's cauliflower rice. You just grate or process cauliflower, and it gives you a texture a lot like rice, but with very few carbs and calories. It's super gentle on your blood sugar. If you do have white rice sometimes, it's all about strict portion control to lessen its impact on your blood sugar. Try to limit your serving to about half a cup, cooked, and make sure to pair it with plenty of non-starchy vegetables and some lean protein. That can help soften the rise in blood sugar. Just being mindful of how often you're eating it and opting for those healthier alternatives most of the time will really help with better diabetes control and your overall health. Number 3, corn. Next up, at number 3, we have corn. Corn is often that sweet, crunchy thing we love to add to our meals, but it actually has a fair bit of natural sugar. This sugar can lead to higher blood glucose levels for people with diabetes. Now, corn is a whole grain and it does have some fiber, but its sugar content, mostly sucrose, means it can cause a bigger blood sugar reaction than many other non-starchy veggies. This is especially true if you eat a lot of it at dinner. And it's not just the natural sugar. Corn is also pretty high in starch. It's this mix of sugar and starch that really affects your blood sugar after you eat it. Your body breaks these carbs down into glucose. So if you have diabetes, managing this incoming glucose means you really have to think about your portion sizes and how many carbs are in your whole meal to avoid those unwelcome spikes. Some popular ways of eating corn can be extra tricky for blood sugar. Think about creamed corn. It often has added sugars and fats, which bump up its glycemic impact and calories. And then there are corn chips. They're usually processed and fried, meaning they're high in refined carbs, unhealthy fats, and sodium. That makes them not such a great choice if you're trying to keep your blood sugar stable and your heart healthy. So, instead of having a lot of corn, especially the processed kinds, you might want to look at healthier whole grain alternatives. These can give you a similar satisfaction but with a much gentler effect on your blood sugar. Things like quinoa, barley, or even a little whole wheat couscous, in moderation of course, offer more fiber and release glucose more slowly. These options can give you more sustained energy and help you keep better control of your blood sugar, especially with your dinner. But hey, if you really love corn, you can still include it in a diabetes-friendly diet. The trick is to keep it to smaller controlled portions. It's really important to think of corn as a starchy part of your meal, kind of like potatoes or rice, and not just as a free-for-all vegetable. A small serving of corn on the cob, or just a few tablespoons of kernels in a salad or mixed with other veggies, can be perfectly fine. Just make sure you balance it out with lots of non-starchy vegetables and some lean protein. Number 4, pickles and sauerkraut, high sodium. All right, moving on to number 4, pickles and sauerkraut, specifically those with high sodium. Now, pickles and sauerkraut are great because they're low in carbs and calories, but their really high sodium content can be a different kind of worry for people with diabetes. You see, managing diabetes isn't only about keeping blood sugar in check. It's also about managing the risks for other problems like heart disease and high blood pressure. And we know that too much sodium can lead to high blood pressure, which is something many folks with diabetes either already deal with or are at a high risk for. Veggies that are high in sodium, especially the ones preserved in brine like traditional pickles and sauerkraut, can impact your overall health in more ways than just blood pressure. Our bodies need a careful balance of electrolytes, and too much sodium can throw that off. This might lead to holding on to extra fluid and putting more strain on your kidneys. And since kidney disease, or nephropathy, is a common issue with diabetes, it's really important to go easy on these vital organs. The effect of too much sodium on blood pressure and heart health is a really big deal for everyone in the diabetes community. High blood pressure makes your heart work harder and can damage your blood vessels over time. This just adds to the cardiovascular risks that are already higher with diabetes. So, choosing foods that are low in sodium is a really smart dietary move to protect your heart and manage your diabetes care well. But here's some good news. If you love that tangy taste of pickled veggies, low sodium options are popping up more and more. You can even make them yourself at home. Using less salt and playing around with more herbs and spices for flavor can give you delicious pickled vegetables without all that extra sodium. Or you could just go for fresh cucumbers with a little sprinkle of vinegar. That gives you a similar crunch and tang. I really can't stress enough how important it is to read those nutrition labels, especially when you're picking out preserved or packaged vegetables. Make sure to check the sodium content per serving. Look for things labeled low sodium or no salt added. When you're an informed consumer, you can make choices that not only help your blood sugar, but also look out for your heart and kidney health. And that's all part of taking good care of yourself with diabetes. Number 5, tempura or battered vegetables. At number 5, let's talk about tempura or any kind of battered vegetables. When you coat vegetables in batter and then deep fry them, like with tempura or other battered dishes, it completely changes their nutritional makeup, and unfortunately, not in a good way. That frying process adds a lot of unhealthy fats. We're talking saturated fats and even trans fats if certain oils are used. Plus, it seriously bumps up the calorie count. This can lead to weight gain, which, as you know, can make managing diabetes and insulin resistance even more challenging. And then there's the batter itself. It's usually made from refined flour, and that brings a big load of carbohydrates that can cause a quick spike in your blood sugar. So you've got these refined carbs plus the fats from frying, and that creates a double whammy for your glucose control. Your body has to deal with both the fast-acting carbs and all those dense fats, making it really hard to keep your blood sugar stable, especially after dinner. So some common fried veggies that folks with diabetes should be careful with or maybe even avoid include things like onion rings, battered mushrooms, fried zucchini sticks, and those vegetable pakoras or fritters on top of tempura. The vegetable part itself is healthy, of course, but the way it's cooked cancels out a lot of the benefits and adds things that really don't help with good diabetes care or heart health. The key here is to embrace healthier ways to cook your vegetables so you can enjoy them without those negative effects of frying. Roasting your veggies with a bit of olive oil and some herbs. That brings out their natural sweetness and gives them a fantastic texture. Steaming is great too. It keeps all the nutrients in and leaves your veggies light and fresh. And don't forget about air frying. That can give you a crispy texture with much less oil than deep frying, making it a more diabetes-friendly way to cook foods that are usually fried. And when you're eating out, it pays to be a little vigilant. Don't be afraid to ask how the vegetables are cooked. Specifically ask for steamed, grilled, or roasted options. And definitely ask about what's in any sauces or dressings that come with your veggie dishes. When you make informed choices at restaurants, it really empowers you to stick to your healthy eating plan and manage your diabetes well, even when you're not cooking at home. Number 6, canned vegetables with added sodium sugar. And finally, at number 6, we're looking at canned vegetables, especially those with added sodium or sugar. Now, canned vegetables can be super convenient and easy on the wallet, but it's really important to be on the lookout for hidden ingredients that can mess with your diabetes management. A lot of canned types have a ton of added sodium to preserve them and make them taste a certain way, and that can lead to high blood pressure. And some, like canned cream-style corn or even baked beans, which sometimes get lumped in with veggies, might also have added sugars, which will affect your blood glucose too. Learning how to read nutrition labels like a pro is such a vital skill for anyone managing diabetes, especially when you're picking out canned goods. Always check the sodium content per serving. Try to go for options that say low sodium, reduced sodium, or no salt added. And do the same for added sugars. Really look closely at the ingredient list and the nutrition facts. Added sugars can hide under names like corn syrup, dextrose, or sucrose. Some of the canned vegetable options that can be the most problematic for people with diabetes are those packed in brine or a heavy syrup. For instance, regular canned green beans, peas, and corn can be loaded with sodium. And things like canned beets or carrots can sometimes be packed with added sugar or in a sauce that unexpectedly bumps up their carbohydrate content. This can turn a healthy vegetable into something not so great for your blood sugar control. You'll often find that fresh and frozen vegetables are much better choices than their canned versions, especially when it comes to holding on to nutrients and controlling what's added. Frozen veggies are usually picked when they're perfectly ripe and then flash frozen. This process locks in most of their vitamins and minerals, and they don't need extra sodium or sugar. And with fresh vegetables, well, you have total control over how you prepare and season them. Now, if canned vegetables are what you mainly use, here's a helpful little tip. If you rinse and drain them really well under cold running water, you can get rid of a lot of the sodium. It won't remove any added sugars, but it can definitely make a difference in how much sodium you're getting. But still, whenever you can, try to go for fresh or frozen varieties. That's generally going to be the healthiest way to go for good blood sugar control and overall well-being. Better vegetable choices for diabetics. So what are some better vegetable choices if you're managing diabetes? Well, to really help your blood sugar management, try to make non-starchy vegetables your priority. Think about filling your plate with things like broccoli, spinach, cabbage, bell peppers, and green beans. Leafy greens and veggies like broccoli and cauliflower, those cruciferous ones, are especially good for you. They give you lots of fiber and nutrients with very little impact on your glucose. Try to make these the biggest part of a balanced plate. So, to wrap things up, managing diabetes well doesn't mean you have to cut out vegetables altogether. Not at all. It's really about making smart, informed choices. By being mindful about limiting these 6 popular vegetables, especially at dinner, and by focusing more on those non-starchy alternatives, people with diabetes can absolutely enjoy delicious and nutritious meals. This kind of thoughtful approach is what helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels and supports overall health and well-being as you navigate your diabetes journey. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Have you had success managing your diabetes by making some changes to the vegetables you eat? Please do share your experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. We'll send you more diabetes-friendly recipes and meal planning tips to help you take control of your health journey and live really well with diabetes.